Laser focus, we can tackle our people's most pressing problem.
President Tinubu emphasizes unity amongst African leaders, ushering new Ghanaian President John Mahama.
Uniting and linking the economic chains of the region. That's the only way northern Nigeria could grow.
Northern leaders put heads together for socio-economic developments. Global concerns over new surge of human virus. NCDC says no cause for alarm. Good evening and nice to have you join us on the Network News on NTA. I am Elizabeth Omori. Tonight, Adola Kere will be reading from Lagos. Benny Adams is on the business news. Benny, what should we be expecting?
Much in the world of business, and more so that stakeholders believe that energy sufficiency is a reality in 2025, as well as a $1 trillion economy if all plans go well.
Of course. And we also have Dr. Adoyi Omale, an international relations expert, to speak on Nigeria-Ghana relations. And of course, our sportsman, Badi Adelia, will bring us some sporting stories. Here's a quick reminder that you can follow us live on our website, nt.ng/live, NG News Now on X, and other social handles on the screen. John Dramani Mahama has been inaugurated as the new president of Ghana in a historic transition. President Mahama takes over from Nana Akufo-Addo he handed over to 8 years ago. State House correspondent Musba brings us details.
Here is the return of John Dramani Mahama. The president is back for his second spell in the office he left 8 years ago after a single term.
So help me God.
Apparently returning with more experience, Mahama is now hoping to reset the Black Star Nation. Acknowledging the current dynamic realities of the world, the Ghanaian president emphasized the importance of international cooperation and the support of his citizens in his quest to achieving the new Ghana they desire. President Mahama says his new administration is setting out with focus on 4 critical areas of economic restoration, improvement of the investment environment, governance and constitution reforms, as well as accountability against corruption.
Together, as we look to the horizon, we reaffirm our dedication to breaking the glass ceiling that has long hindered many from reaching their full potential. Governance that reflects all segments of our population strengthens our democracy and enriches our conversation. We stand committed to enacting policies that empower women and ensure that the door of opportunity is open wide for our youth and our women, regardless of their background.
President Bola Tinubu was there to celebrate the growth of democracy in Africa. And the ECOWAS chairman wants African leaders to strive and cooperate better to lead the majority of Africans out of poverty.
With laser focus, we can tackle our people's most pressing problem of poverty, youth unemployment, instability, insurgency, and many other problems hampering our desired progress.
For other leaders present, it's welcome back to John Dramani Mahama.
What I foresee is that the relationship between the two countries will be further deepened, even under the past leader, Akufo-Addo. This was the case. I can see us breaking new grounds under Mahama, I said, because there's also a personal relationship involved. So many problems will be solved with this kind of personal relationship.
Now the Ghanaians are celebrating the return of John Dramani Mahama and significantly 32 years of democracy, hoping for a greater fortune for the country and its people. From Accra, Musbah, then Wahab, NTA News.
Ghana and Nigeria are two of West Africa's largest economies, and they have remained interdependent and cordial since they established diplomatic relations. President Bola Tinubu's visit to Ghana to witness President John Dramani Mahama's inauguration today is an attestation to the friendly disposition shared. Now, with us in the studio tonight to speak further on sustaining and improving ties between the two countries is Dr. Adoyi Omale, an international relations expert. Dr. Adoyi, thank you so much for joining us on the Network News.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. You know, obviously Ghana and Nigeria have come a long way in terms of commercial and diplomatic relations. Let's talk more on the relationship. Has it been all the way rosy?
Well, Ghana diplomatic relations have been very, very rosy, right from the time of Osegefo, Kwame Nkrumah, in the early times of our independence. We have maintained very cordial relationship, though there are times that there are some conflict or misunderstanding, but by and large we have continued to have very good relationship. We have the Nigerian-Ghana by commission, which has been there for the past 30-something years, and that shows the level of cordial relationship between the two countries. We share very close affinity with each other. We are one of the key former British colonies, and we are English speaking. So all this gives us a very good opportunity to bond together with the West African sub-region. And Nigeria has always relied on Ghana's support within the ECOWAS. So all these are what has tied us together for all over the years, especially after independence.
After independence. Now, with the return of President Mahama to government, what are the expected benefits to Nigeria from the visit of our president, President Tinubu?
Well, if you listen to our president, who was very, very honored at this inauguration, being the special guest of honor and being given a very prominent role at this inauguration, it shows clearly what is to come. It shows that the current Ghanaian president is ready to do business with Nigeria, is ready to have a very wonderful relationship with Nigeria, especially that he also have some ties with Nigeria, with Offa in Kwara State, having grown up. We expect that being somebody who understands Nigeria, who has lived in Nigeria, it will cement the relationship between Nigeria and Ghana. Don't forget that Nigeria and Ghana, in terms of export, is a very, very fertile ground for Nigeria exports. Most of our products are in Ghana. Many of our companies are also operating in Ghana. Globalcom and several banks, Nigerian banks, are operating in Ghana. So we have come a very long way. Like I said earlier, despite some laws, especially some policies that have been put in place, business policy, operation policy that a company operating in Ghana should be able to have up to 10 Ghanaians in this employment and some 300,000 CDs that you must have as take of capital and so on. And Nigerians have complained, but the Ghanaians always say that they are not targeting Nigerians specifically. But of course, because of the large volume of Nigerian businessmen in Ghana.
Okay, let me comment there. Talking about complaints, outside the Nigerian and Ghanaian jollof contest, which we all know that Nigeria tops the table there, some Nigerians in Ghana are not having fair treatment. Is President Mahama's emergence likely to change things for the better for them?
I'm very optimistic that it will change, okay. Especially, like I said, most of the complaints are in the area of giving a favorable business operation climate to our businessmen that are operating in Ghana. I think with the coming of Mahama, some of these bottlenecks on the path of our businessmen will be removed. And, you know, Ghana is also a very good destination for many of our citizens to also go to school, and also many of our citizens are also schooling in Ghana. So I see, and vice versa. So also Ghanaians too, they also want to come to Nigeria to do business. So I see a very, very good relationship with the coming of John Drama. And like the special advisor to the president, Bayo Onanuga, said, the relationship between us and Mahama, Nigeria and Mahama, will also add impetus to this relationship. And I think we are going to benefit from this relationship between the two countries going forward.
Between the two countries. International relations expert, Dr. Adoyi Omale, we want to thank you so much for joining us in our studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. To other news, socio-economic development of northern Nigeria took center stage as policymakers, development experts, and community stakeholders converged on Kano to chart a way forward. Awal Salisu reports that the northern leaders unveiled ambitious 2045 development goals aimed at addressing challenges facing the region.
Gathered in this hall are policymakers, development experts and stakeholders with a shared vision for the future of northern Nigeria. The discussions focus on three critical objectives, which include analyzing the region's current challenges and opportunities, proposing innovative solutions to catalyze transformational change, and outlining strategic steps to achieve the Northern Nigeria Development Goals 2045. The goals were crafted following a thorough analysis of pressing challenges in the region, including gaps in education, widespread poverty, and persistent security concerns.
19 other states should review their strategic plan and capture climate change, capture disaster response management, capture some emergency issue, capture what we call the post-subsidy removal interventions. When subsidy were removed, that's when they develop all this plan.
It's aimed at trying to provide a framework for Northern Nigeria to leverage in terms of projecting the development of Northern Nigeria to now 2045. That is, it's a 20-year development agenda.
Nigeria will never grow without regional partnership among the states, moving on the single agenda, uniting and linking the economic chains of the region. That's the only way Northern Nigeria could grow.
The Northern Nigeria Development Goals 2045 lay out a vision for a region driven by inclusive economic growth, empowerment of youth and women, strengthened governance and security, as well as resilience to climate change. The stakeholders expressed optimism that adopting these strategic goals will serve as a roadmap for sustainable progress across the region. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Still on development goals, the Nigeria Police Force celebrates a year of remarkable achievements and operational milestones through the National Cybercrime Center. In 2024, the center made significant strides in combating cybercrime and in national and international accolades while reinforcing Nigeria's cybersecurity infrastructure. Francis Form brings us details.
Cybercrime cases were reported in the year 2024.
One of the NPF-NCC's major operational milestones in 2024 was the launch of an upgraded cybercrime e-reporting system. This platform streamlined the reporting of cyber incidents such as extortion, cyber stalking, and cryptocurrency scams, resulting in faster response times and improved case management. The center dismantled 5,049 malicious domains and networks and arrested over 751 cybercriminals. Notable recoveries included 685 digital devices, real estate properties, and 8.8 billion naira in restituted funds, alongside securing 14 convictions.
As the unit was rated the best cybercrime unit in Africa for 2024 by Interpol Cybercrime Directorate, Singapore, for a competitive performance assessment. This accolade recognizes the relentless efforts and innovative strategies of the Inspector General of Police of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the protection of our national critical information infrastructure.
We should try as much as we can to make sure that we stay safe online by not giving out the 6-digit number to anybody that calls you that you're going to have a Zoom meeting.
In addition to operational success, the NPF-NCC spearheaded nationwide cybersecurity awareness campaigns and advanced training programs for its personnel. Strategic partnerships with tech companies, financial institutions, and international agencies, including Interpol, the FBI, and the EU Council on Cybercrime, bolstered intelligence sharing and cross-border operations. The NPF-NCC remains committed to fortifying Nigeria's cyberspace and protecting its citizens against evolving cyber threats. Francis from NTA News.
Well, the Nigerian Air Force has reiterated its resolve to optimize resources, strengthen its fleet, and uphold national security through operational excellence. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, affirmed this at the 431 Engineering Group, Kaduna. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports that a 20-year grounded aircraft was reactivated by Nigerian Air Force engineers.
It's begun with a presidential directive, a call to action for ministries, departments and agencies to transfer their grounded assets to the Nigerian Air Force for possible reactivation. The project was given the green light in June 2024, and what followed was a feat of engineering brilliance. This was a testament to the NAV's growing technical expertise and resolve to achieve self-reliance in aviation maintenance. What had once seemed like an insurmountable challenge was now a reality. When the aircraft's engines roared to life for the first time in years, the hangar was filled with a sense of triumph. It was not just the sound of an engine starting, it was the sound of a new chapter in the Nigerian Air Force history. The successful reactivation of the NAV 039 after 23 years of dormancy was a monumental achievement, as it wasn't merely about restoring a piece of machinery, but about the culmination of years of progress, reflecting a new era for Nigeria's Air Force. Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, the Chief of the Air Staff, was quick to recognize the significance of the accomplishment, saying the successful reactivation of NAV 039 is not just an operational gain, but a statement of the Nigerian Air Force capabilities and commitments to self-reliance. As NAV 039 took to the skies once again, it wasn't just the aircraft that had been rejuvenated. It was a national asset, a beacon of self-reliance and innovation, soaring towards a future of operational excellence and national security. The NAV's journey had only just begun. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
You're watching the network news on NTA. When we return after this break, human metapneumovirus in focus. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with the NTA. Report reaching us says NFF has appointed Eric Chelle as Super Eagles coach. Details of this report in our sports segment. Let's talk. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, says the country's strengthening national surveillance amidst global concerns over human metapneumovirus, HMPV, and implementing preparedness measures as well as response capacity to tackle the virus should it emerge. A statement signed by the NCDC Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, says a risk assessment classifies the risk of HMPV for Nigeria as moderate, with reports indicating a surge in cases in countries like China. We have in the studio Dr. Tochi Okwo. She is the acting head of Department Disease Prevention and Health Promotion, NCDC, to talk to us. Dr. Tochi, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, so what is the current status of the disease around the world, and Nigeria in particular? Any reported outbreak in nearby African countries?
The current global situation of this human metapneumovirus is that it is currently circulating with high transmission rates in various parts of the world, particularly around the country you have mentioned and in some parts of Europe. However, for Nigeria, where we have what we call a surveillance system that tracks the respiratory illnesses, we haven't noticed any rise or increase in numbers of febrile respiratory illnesses. So for the Nigerian situation, as we are monitoring it and tracking it, we do not have rise in cases. We do not have cases in Nigeria as our data currently suggests.
Okay. So now, for the sake of our preparedness mechanism, what are the symptoms for this virus?
So the symptoms for this virus are the symptoms you get for the common cold.
Okay.
The cough, the sneezing, the sore throat, fever, and the symptoms are actually severer in very young children, the neonates, and also in older people. Also in adults that have reduced or compromised immune systems, such as individuals that are maybe receiving cancer treatment, their immune system may be reduced. People with uncontrolled or poorly controlled chronic illnesses such as diabetes, their immune system may predispose them to having severe disease. And in those cases, it can then move on to pneumonias and a bit more severe.
Okay. Is this similar to COVID-19? Are these symptoms similar to that of COVID-19?
Generally, the symptoms are similar. They're all respiratory illnesses.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what are precautionary suggestions you would give to our citizens starting with hygiene?
So the precautionary measures are actually what is very, very important. The preventive measures. Because these things are respiratory in nature, it means that when we are coughing or sneezing, we increase the chances of transmitting them. Therefore, maintaining what we call respiratory hygiene and cough etiquette. Okay. So when you sneeze or cough, you be sure to cover your mouth and your nose either with your elbow or with a tissue, after which this such tissue should be properly disposed and then the hands properly washed. And then hand hygiene is the fundamental of prevention. We must make sure that we imbibe that culture of constantly washing our hands. Whenever we are outside of the house, we come in, or all those moments we know that we must wash our hands, we must now make sure we do. Cleaning the surfaces, environmental hygiene, avoiding crowded environments. And when an individual has symptoms at the time to be moving around everywhere, it will be good to take such precautionary measures. And remember, we had mentioned that the very young and the older population. So where do you find very young people? This is the time that baby care centers, the daycare centers, anywhere where we think vulnerable populations will aggregate, they have to improve their index of suspicion. They must improve environmental hygiene. This is not the time to take a sick child to the daycare center because you have a lot of young children aggregating there. Maintaining such very simple basic measures would keep everybody safe. There's also the part of healthcare facilities where we must now improve our infection prevention and control measures.
Dr. Tochi, I want to thank you so much for enlightening us. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to aviation matters, working towards improving air transportation and provision of infrastructure services to achieve the aviation master plan is the key priority of the sector in 2025 and beyond. The newly appointed Permanent Secretary, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, disclosed this as he takes on his new assignment at the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development. Aliu Kabir reports.
Since the beginning of President Tinubu-led administration in 2023, the Nigeria's aviation sector has witnessed significant transformation driven by the government's effort to position the industry as a hub on the African continent and globally. The ministry, through its agencies, have been working round the clock to strengthen safety and security measures, with a focus on maintaining international standards in terms of infrastructure development and operations in line with the renewed Hope agenda. It is in line to this, the newly appointed Permanent Secretary to the Ministry, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, is committed to as he assumes his new assignment, especially having experience in security, administration, and health.
I'm going to work with all of you, and there is no doubt I also have my reservations about the way our airports are in the country. I hope that we'll all work together to improve them. count on me in this regard.
In his validatory message, the former Permanent Secretary, Dr. Emmanuel Maribole, has expressed confidence in the new Permanent Secretary, calling on him to carry all stakeholders along towards achieving National Aviation Master Plan. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
Geriatric care involves support and healthcare services provided to older adults, typically those around 65 and above. The goal of geriatric care is to promote healthy aging, prevent or manage chronic diseases, and maintain the quality of life for the aging population. Nigeria faring this critical industry, this and more issues to be discussed. Dr. M.M. Omokaro, Director General, National Senior Citizen Center, will speak to us on prospects for 2025 to promote aging. Dr. Omokaro, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You will agree with me that senior citizens require special care from the rest of the society, and this is especially amongst us in Africa. We care so much about the elderly if we consider economic reasons. Now, under your watch, what is the prospect? What are the plans for the senior citizens in 2025?
The plans that we have are diverse, inclusive, equitable for all categories of older persons. As you know, the population is diverse, from the very active, continuing to engage, seeking to engage, to the very vulnerable that needs long-term care. And so for us, for 2025, the continuation of building brick by brick a long-term care system is going to be very heavy with us. We had started to put in the systems to develop the skilled workforce for care of older persons. And so far, we've been able to make caregiving a skill, developed the benchmarks that we need to develop. We are training the training providers for care quality assurance assessor certification. And then, of course, we have also piloted the training of the caregivers. So for 2025, we are going to really accelerate on that. And then we are working with our House Committee on Disabilities, those who have oversight over us, to ensure that the bill for an act to establish, the regulation for the geriatric social care system is in place. This means that the care settings that we have already identified, especially the domiciliary care agency, by that I mean the home care, is going to really be what we're going to focus on in 2025 to ensure that committees have, care agencies that can send qualified, skilled caregivers to the homes of older persons who really need long-term care. And we are hoping to work very closely with the state governors to ensure that we convince them to see the potentials, number one, for really dignified care for our older persons, and also for employment creation for our youths who may have interest in geriatric social care.
Okay. Now, it looks like these are all intergenerational initiatives, and it means the government is doing so much. Now, from the angle of the family and society, how do we make life more meaningful for the aged?
Of course, you know that the strength of the family really has been compromised because of out-migration of children. And then, of course, even the adult children that are very interested in taking care of their older ones, they also are sandwiched between their own children and, of course, the care of their, elderly ones. And so NSCC is working to strengthen families to be able to better care by providing opportunities, by providing them with options. For instance, I just talked about having domiciliary care agencies and having skilled caregivers that it can be called, to provide respite for older persons. And then, of course, we are very heavy with, healthy aging promotions, and then the provisions of assistive devices. You have a situation where you have older persons in the homes. Some of them are immobile because they have motor problems. Some of them have hearing problems. Some of them, have visionary problems. So NSCC is really into healthy aging and ensuring that the environment is very supportive for older persons. So one of the ways we are helping families to better care is to ensure that we help them in the provisions of these assistive devices.
That's interesting. Dr. M.M. Omokaro, Director General, National Senior Citizen Center, we want to thank you so much for sharing your prospects for 2025 with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Moving on, President Bola Tinubu congratulates Mele Kolo Kyari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, on his 60th birthday. In a statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the president commends Kyari's diligence in transforming the NNPC Limited into a profitable organization, including the resuscitation of 2 refineries, an increase in domestic natural gas consumption, and a boost in oil production to 1.8 million barrels per day. Describing Mele Kyari as a shining example of the ideals of the renewed hope agenda, he praised Almighty Allah to continue to grant Kyari sound health, wisdom, and strength to serve the nation. And it's time to head to the city of Lagos, where Adeola is standing by with some reports. Hello, Adeola.
Elizabeth. With 18,500 arrests and 2.6 million kilograms drugs seized in 2024 alone, the fight to combat illicit drugs and related crimes is receiving the necessary support. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, retired, stated this at the inauguration of the agency's Central Exhibit Office at its headquarters annex in Ikoyi, Lagos, donated by the United States government. Dana Ajale reports.
The steady successes being recorded by the anti-narcotic body of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in combating drug supply and demand have continued to justify the support and assistance it is getting from partners and stakeholders to enhance its operational capabilities. The latest is this Central Exhibit Custodian Office, furnished and donated by the United States government for efficient and secure handling of evidence. The NDLEA boss says the war against drug trafficking and abuse requires collective efforts, noting that the agency secured the conviction of over 3,000 drug traffickers, including 10 drug barons, and the destruction of 220 hectares of cannabis farms in 2024.
This contribution will not only strengthen our operational framework, but also set a new standard for accountability and transparency in drug law enforcement.
The U.S. Acting Consul General, Joe Ellen George, said Nigeria and the U.S. share similar objectives of countering crime.
This dedicated facility will provide NDLEA officers with a safe and secure office space to conduct investigations, to process arrestees, and to conduct post-arrest interviews.
Such facilities, the agencies say, have helped to build the capacity of the Nigerian authorities to disrupt and dismantle drug trafficking networks and conduct advanced forensic analysis of synthetic drugs. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
The use of alternative dispute resolution can go a long way in nipping in the bud incidents that could cause huge financial and security personnel deployment in de-escalating conflicts. Larry Millay takes a look at the potential of this form of dispute resolution and how it can be explored in addressing security challenges in the country.
2025 will be a year of outside-the-box thinking, especially when it comes to nation security architecture, with the government's proposed budget of 4.91 trillion naira to security. The need to find new means of de-escalating conflicting issues becomes paramount. One of such means is the alternative dispute resolution, which includes negotiation, mediation, and arbitration in resolving issues such as farmers-herders clash, community ethno-religious or cultural disputes, even family disputes, or other issues that could lead to criminality or terrorists against state.
ADR processes will work for us, whether we're using negotiation, we're using mediation, we're using arbitration, or we're using a combination of mediation and arbitration, what is called MedHab.
Peaceful coexistence is pivotal to many Nigerian multi-ethnic communities, and achieving it drives socio-economic development, which makes it important to institutionalized ADR for stakeholder security agents, robed fellows in the nation's temple of justice, and other stakeholders.
When our act was amended in 2007, the authorities started training personnel on ADR. And by 2010, the department took off. And between that period and now, we have been able to resolve over 142,000 cases, which ordinarily will have led to serious insecurity.
Even the challenge of conflicting parties unwilling to come to the round table for negotiation still needs mediation to make parties see reason to willingly embrace alternative dispute resolution. In Lagos, Lanre Bileyi, NTA News.
And that's it from Lagos. We'll take a break, and when we return, it's back to Abuja.
You're still watching the network news on NTA. President Bola Tinubu is back in Abuja after attending the inauguration of President John Dramani Mahama in Accra this Tuesday. The presidential 001 flight landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at about 9:30 this evening. President Tinubu was on the trip to Accra on the invitation of President Mahama, with whom he has a long-standing relationship. State House correspondent Musbau Danwahab recalls that the president went to the capital of Ghana for the event after his Yuletide break in Lagos. And it's time to talk business. Our busy businessman Benny is set. Benny?
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm talking business. The Nigerian Society of Energy Editors say the energy sector is poised for significant development in the first quarter of 2025. This is as the federal government plans to spend 49.7 trillion naira as budget, in addition to the planned increase in crude oil production to 2.06 million barrels per day. As key players in the sector, the editors, in their forecast for the year, believe that if the above plan goes well, driving down inflation from a present 34.6% to 15% will be a reality. This is in addition to increased oil exploration and production, which is hinged on efforts at addressing security challenges in the Niger Delta. As promised by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, 2025 will witness a fresh round of oil licensing in addition to the coverage of oil blocks left undeveloped. They are also of the view that if the country's solid mineral sector is fully harnessed, a $1 trillion economy is a sure deal. From there, we'll move to the market. The market is on the low today, reversing 3 consecutive sessions of gains recorded since the new year began. This is as investors lost 152 billion naira. The total volume traded advanced by 29.94% to close at 1.11 billion naira, valued at 14.64 billion naira, traded in 16.617 deals. FBNH was the most traded stock by volume and value, with 161.46 million units traded, worth 4.72 billion naira. While ICO and Tantalizer followed closely with 10.85% and 9.42% respectively. And on the aggregate, 127 listed companies participated in trading, ending with 19 gainers and 51 losers. Well, this is it on business. Elizabeth, it's nice doing business with you, especially in the new year.
Thank you so much, Benny. Thank you. A total number of 2,211 students have graduated from Al-Hikmah University Ilorin, with 47 of the graduate students bagging first class in 2023-2024 academic session. Shola Wide reports that the 14th convocation coincided with the 20th anniversary of the establishment of the institution, during which the governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, harped on the need for higher institutions of learning in the country to be committed to churning out graduates who are job providers and not job seekers.
Al-Hikmah University was licensed to commence operations 20 years ago with 70 students and 3 colleges, now faculties. Presently, the university has 8 faculties and has produced over 15,000 graduates in various disciplines who are spread across the country and in diaspora. In his anniversary lecture, the governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, stressed the need for more faith-based institutions to mold graduates in moral, religious, social, and political dimensions to address issues bedeviling the nation.
Faith-based schools emphasize character development, encouraging students to become ethical leaders. Faith-based institutions such as Covenant University and Al-Hikmah University have gained recognition for their academic standards and contribution to Nigeria's intellectual landscape.
The event featured special recognition for the founder of Al-Hikmah University, Al-Haji Ibrahim Oladimeji OFR, who is the Aswaju of Igomina land, the Babaoba of Ofa, and the Arugundade of Lagos State, for his immense contributions to the development of the nation's education sector, despite the fact that he has no formal education. The 14th convocation ceremony of Al-Hikmah University had 1,748 undergraduate, 47 first class, 736 second class upper division, 101 second class lower division, and 76 third class. There were also 42 postgraduate PhDs, 283 master degrees, and 59 diplomas.
Consider entrepreneurship as a viable career option and take calculated risk to achieve your goals.
We celebrate not only our transformation and sense of successes, but also the thousands of graduates who have passed through our doors, equipped with knowledge.
Ecstatic is an understatement. I feel really, really happy.
Allah has shown me the beginning of this program, and alhamdulillah, I've completed it successfully.
Honorary awards were given to deserving individuals, including the Speaker, House of Representatives, Tola Wahid, NTA News.
And 4 stories from the global scene, let's join Uche Ogochukwu.
Visit comes days after U.S. President Joe Biden blocked Nippon Steel's takeover of U.S. Steel. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, however, insisted that ties with Japan were stronger than ever.
You look at what we've done together on strengthening our security partnership relationship, modernizing our command and control, working together on defense co-production so that we can strengthen our defense industrial base, have an even stronger deterrent.
Business groups say the decision could have a chilling effect on Japan's standing as the biggest foreign investor in the United States. International flights resumed at Damascus airport for the first time after the fall of President Bashar al-Assad. Qatar Airways also resumed flights to the Syrian capital after nearly 13 years. At least 126 people have died and many are feared trapped after a strong earthquake that struck the autonomous Tibet region in China. The U.S. Geological Survey said it was 7.1 magnitude. According to China's Ministry of Emergency Management, about 1,500 fire and rescue workers have been deployed, but the area is remote and conditions difficult. Tremors were also felt in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, as well as Bhutan and northern India. Similarly, Indian search teams, including military divers, Tuesday worked to reach several coal miners trapped underground after water flooded the shafts a day earlier. Uche Ogochukwu, NTA News.
Let's take another break. And for some sporting stories, let's join our sportsman, Bade Adele.
All right, many thanks, Elizabeth. Like you confirmed earlier,
The Executive Committee of the Nigeria Football Federation has endorsed the recommendation of its Technical and Development Subcommittee for the appointment of Eric Sekochele as head coach of Nigeria's senior men's national football team, the Super Eagles. Chele, who won 5 caps for the Eagles of Mali and coached clubs such as GS Consola, FC Matigues, Bologna, and MC Oran, has been head coach of Mali since 2022. His appointment is with immediate effect, and he has the responsibility of guiding the Super Eagles to earn a ticket to the 2026 FIFA World Cup finals, with the next round of matches taking place in March. Now, still staying with the Nigeria Football Federation, as they say, their continued efforts to train and ensure the professional development of referees will soon yield the desired results, as Nigeria aspires to have an improved representation of referees in CAF and FIFA competitions. NFF President Ibrahim Gusau, while speaking in an exclusive interview in Abuja, revealed that improved level of officiating being witnessed in the Nigerian Football League system will be the propeller for Nigerian referees to the international stage.
When you see the list of referees being appointed to officiate tournaments, you look at it, you start looking at it until you get to the last number without seeing Nigerians. Now the just APCON list was released, only one Nigerian name appeared on the list. But I'm telling you, within the next couple of years, that thing will change, because we have highly young, talented male and female referees that are now being injected into our Premier League, and they are performing wonderfully well.
Away from Nigeria now, North Londoners Tottenham have exercised the option to extend captain Son Heung-min's contract until 2026. The 32-year-old South Korean joined the Premier League club in 2015 from Bayer Leverkusen and has made 431 appearances, scoring 169 goals, making him the 4th on the Tottenham all-time list. And finally, to a bit of tennis, Cameron Norrie of Britain has apologized after accidentally hitting a spectator with his racket in Auckland during his 6-3, 6-2 loss to Argentina's Facundo Diaz Acosta on Tuesday. Norrie, who is world number 48, knighted a shot while trailing 6-2, 5-3 and threw his racket in frustration before going over to the fans sitting in the front row, who appeared to be unhurt. And that's a bit on sports, but the wait is finally over. Super Eagles, they now have a new coach. It's back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Buddy. Thank you for the updates. And that ends tonight's news. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori.